with Billy Donovan, Mick Hubert here at the University of Florida. And Billy, 19 years, and we've done so many interviews. They've all been great, and we want to wish you the very best of luck as you go out to Oklahoma City.
Well, I really appreciate it, Mick. You know, just even the relationships that have been established, and, you know, talked about my relationship with Jeremy, but I just sitting here with you, you know, it's 19 years with you, and it's 19 years with a lot of people, and I think a lot of times people don't understand is they know Jeremy's been in place for a long period of time, but they don't understand the relationship that you and I have, or Tom Williams, our academic advisor, or my secretary, or my administrative assistant, or Chip Howard and Mike Hill and Mike Spiegler. Like, there's such a long investment time-wise with so many wonderful people.
You know, when you stood in the old Gator room some 19 or so years ago, who would have known you'd still be standing in a Gator room 19 years later? But when you came to University of Florida, did you have a 2, 3, 5-year vision? What was it that you saw you were inheriting?
Well, I think, Mick, when you come and take over a job, people say you have a 5-year plan, 10-year plan. The one thing I've noticed in life is generally plans get broken up pretty quickly, and you and I have talked about that even from a spiritual standpoint. You know, I think you got to go day by day. Now, you got to have a vision where you're trying to get to, and you got to make good assessments in recruiting and players and coaching and staffing and all those kind of things. But what I really try to do every day, every season, was to try to get better, to improve, to try to be the best we can be, to grow. But I never really had a plan. You know, I just knew that I was aligned with Jeremy Foley. I had a great relationship with him and tried to put my head down and work. And obviously you have to have an overview of where you want to get to. And I think for us, you know, coming in a difficult time where we had 2 losing seasons, you know, trying to build back up and having to recruit and kind of establish a program. And, you know, the program has grown, Mick. I remember when we first got started, you know, a guy like Mike Miller, we had to beg, plead, just to, hey, give us a chance, give us a chance. And we finally got in there. Now we're in a situation where, you know, in Florida, you can pick up the phone and call somebody and there's immediate interest. So some things have changed there. But I never really looked at the job as, okay, it's a 5-year deal. Jeremy knew that this was going to be a rebuilding process. He was very, very patient with me. He was very, very honest with me. He believed in me. And I think that allowed me to go out and work.
You went to the national championship game in your 4th year, in the year 2000. You were at the pinnacle right there. Did you look beyond that and see that, what can I do here further at that point?
Well, Mick, the one thing that happens in those situations is when you walk off the floor in a game like that and you fall short, there are coaches, there are players that never, ever, ever in the history of their careers ever get a chance to experience that. And I'm sitting there saying to myself, on one hand, I'm really proud of our team, where we got to, but on the other hand, are we ever going to get back there again? And then we go through 5 years where it's 1st or 2nd round losses, and we're having a hard time, you know, trying to get deeper into the tournament. And then here comes Joe Kimno, Al Horford, Corey Brewer, and Lee Humphrey, and Torian Green, and, you know, we win 2 national championships. And I think it's so easy when you're at a place for a long period of time to, you fall short, to have doubt, to have uncertainty, to have concern, but in some ways you don't know what the future is going to hold. And, you know, for me, I didn't know where the program was going to go from there. I knew we obviously hit a great, great milestone, the first time in school history playing for a national championship, but we did come up short, and you just don't know if you're ever going to get back to that point.
Well, you won 49 games, I think it was, in 2 succeeding years, but there were 2 NITs. Did you look at it and say that we got a long way to go? You almost had to reinvent yourself and start over again, didn't you?
Mick, the thing for me where I think I got to a level of peace in the decision was exactly what you just mentioned. You know, the Orlando situation that happened had nothing to do with their organization. Great people, great organization, and obviously what Stan Van Gundy did there speaks volumes. They got all the way to the NBA Finals. So it had nothing to do with their organization. It had to do with the fact that I spent 11 years with a lot of people and an athletic director trying to build a program, and here we are coming off 2 national championships, and I'm not really seeing where we can get the program to. Then I made the decision to come back because I didn't want to have that kind of regret. So when I came back, I knew we were going to start over. And it was really, really hard to handle 2 NITs. Not because that I felt like we deserved more, but I knew we were starting over. And it's hard to climb up 11 years and then kind of go all the way back down the ladder. And then the process of building back up again, and then going through that with Patrick Young and Wilbekin and Yeget and Prather, and building back up and getting to Elite 8 and winning 3 out of 5 SEC championships, and then finally those kids getting to a Final Four. And, you know, when we got to that point, we're kind of back again, starting back over. And I've kind of been through this, you know, 3 different times, and it's a hard, arduous, very, very difficult. It takes everything out of you. But I feel like as a coach, I experienced all those things. I experienced everything that you can experience in a college here at Florida. And I'm nothing to do with not being happy, but you know, this was something that presented itself where I have an opportunity, I think, to grow and develop and get better at maybe a different level. And I looked at it like, okay, I've done all these things here, I've been a part of all these things. Am I going to look back when I'm 55, 60 years old and say, you know what, geez, there were some opportunities maybe I should have pursued, maybe I should have went after, and you know, I just didn't want to do that. So I kind of got to a place where, okay, everything's great right now, I've experienced all these things. Is it time for me to grow in a different way? And that's why I think I felt going through the talks with Oklahoma City, I felt like I was aligned very, very similar to the way I was aligned with Jeremy.
Billy, I know how much you enjoy winning and hate losing, and you went through 30 consecutive victories. I hope you experience that again in the future, but most guys in coaching never experience that one time.
No, Mick, and that's the thing I'm very grateful for. There's so many things in coaching here at Florida that a lot of people don't get a chance to experience, you know, going to Final Fours and losing in a national championship, winning in a national championship game, SEC championship, first ever SEC tournament championship. Like, I experienced so many different things, and I also experienced some heartache. You know, losing 3 Elite Eights, not being able to get to a Final Four, and losing a national championship game, and not getting to the NCAA tournament, losing season, and you experience all these different things. So I've experienced the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows, but I think what it's done is it's helped me grow and evolve as a person and as a coach, and hopefully those experiences will help me in the next stage of my life.
Billy, congratulations again. You're leaving here physically, but your spirit will live on forever.
Well, I hope so, Mick, and I hope in some way, as I said at the press conference, that when someone asked me how I wanted to be remembered, I just hope I brought value, I made people better, and I hope I left a big gaping hole. I don't say that from an arrogant standpoint, but you know, when you're at a place, you have a certain amount of time to make an impact, and I hope I made a real positive impact.
Our friend Billy Donovan, the new coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I'm Mick Hubert in Gainesville.